What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from the Jersey Shore, and I am back with you today to give you my review of the 1996 film, Scream. If you're already a subscriber to my channel, welcome back. It is good to see you again. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click that subscribe button now and get that out of the way. Scream was written by Kevin Williams and it was directed by the legendary Wes Craven. Starring Neve Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, Drew Barrymore, and Skeet Ulrich. Or is it Ulrich?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Who is this?
So Scream begins with Casey. That's Drew Barrymore's character. She is alone in a house, just doing here and there odds and ends things when all of a sudden she gets a phone call. She answers the phone. She doesn't recognize the voice on the other end. The guy, she just tells him he's got a wrong number. She hangs up the phone. The guy calls back. He starts trying to have a conversation with her. He's asking her about her favorite scary movie, and he's asking, just little silly, seemingly innocent questions.
Getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Halloween. You know, the one with the guy in the white mask who walks around and stalks babysitters.
So this whole situation begins to escalate rather quickly. Drew Barrymore's character feels like she's handcuffed to this phone. He's not letting her get off the phone.
Listen, asshole!
No, you listen, you little bitch. You hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish, understand?
He's not letting her leave the house. Eventually, he starts talking to her about her boyfriend, catches her in a lie about whether or not she even had a boyfriend, and he has Drew Barrymore's character, Casey, turn on the patio light out back. So when she turns this light on out back, she sees that her boyfriend is in the backyard, duct taped to a chair. He's been beaten up a little bit, he's bleeding, but he's handcuffed to this chair, and eventually the guy tells her to turn the light back off. So in hopes of saving her boyfriend and causing less damage to him, she does what the guy on the other end of the line says, and she turns the light off. She's trying to make sure that nothing else happens to her boyfriend. Then the guy starts quizzing her. He starts asking her questions about horror movies. She eventually gets one of the answers wrong. The guy explains to her that the answer is wrong, and then you hear a little bit of a commotion in the backyard. You actually hear it more over the phone. She turns the lights back on, and she can see that her boyfriend has now, in fact, been killed. So eventually, Casey does manage to get out of the house, and she sees that there's a car approaching. In that car is her mother and her father. She's trying to get their attention, but the killer is actually keeping her from doing so. He has stabbed her several times at this point. He's dragging her across the backyard. Her mother and father go inside of the house and they realize, the commotion that has taken place because there's things overturned. The house is a mess.
Casey.
Casey! Casey! Where is she?
Call the police.
So they pick up the phone to try and call 911, but because she still has the telephone in her hand, they actually hear their daughter being killed on the other end of the phone.
Casey! Casey, you upstairs?
Casey, baby.
Oh my God, I can hear her. Where is she?
So rightfully so, these two parents are flipping out. They run outside and they find their daughter completely gutted, swinging from a tree in the backyard.
Call the police.
The mother screams, roll credits. Now we meet Sydney Prescott. She's our main character, and she's portrayed by Neve Campbell. And she's upstairs in her bedroom with her boyfriend Billy, who is played by Skeet Ulrich. Or is it Ulrich? He's up in there trying to get himself a little something something, but she ain't giving it to him.
Okay. Time's up, stud bucket.
So now we have a little bit of conversation, a little bit of story building, a little bit of character building, and we find out that Sydney's mother was actually killed just about a year ago. So we jump forward to the next day, and now all the students at school are being notified, and they're all finding out that Drew Barrymore's character and her boyfriend were killed the night before, and now the police are all over the school, and they're taking all the kids individually, one by one, into the principal's office to ask them questions to see if they have any idea what may have happened, what may have caused this, and to see if they can uncover any clues. The principal in this movie is portrayed by Arthur Fonzarelli himself, Henry Winkler.
Hey!
And because of these murders, the school has now decided, upon further investigation, that they're going to seesaw classes and they're going to shut the school down for a little while. And you know it's time to party. So naturally, with the schools being closed, the kids decide to take advantage of this opportunity and throw a big party. So they're all gathered together over at one of their friends' house. They're in there watching horror movies, of course, and they're doing horror movie trivia. They're talking about the rules of horror movies and, you know, what you can and cannot do in order to live or die in horror movies.
Jesus Christ, you don't know the rules?
Have an aneurysm, why don't you?
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex. Big no-no! Big no!
I'm a dead man.
Even in popcorn, sex equals death, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. No, the sin factor. It's a sin. It's an extension of number 1. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
So right in the middle of this party, these kids get word that somebody killed Fonzie back at the high school. That's Henry Winkler's character, the principal.
Hey!
Somebody killed the principal, gutted him, and hung him from the goalpost in the football field. Oh, and another character that I forgot to mention is portrayed by Courteney Cox. She's a television reporter. Apparently, she's got a history with Sydney. She apparently wrote a book about the murder of Sydney's mother the year before. And from what I'm gathering in this movie, apparently this book is full of a bunch of lies. And Sydney don't like her too much. So being as though these murders have taken place, Courteney Cox's character, she finds out where this party is, and she's got a news van parked out front. They're in there doing some surveillance on the party. Eventually, she weaves her way into the house, and she hides a video camera inside of the house so that she can record them doing whatever they're doing without them knowing it. Her character's kind of like a typical scumbag reporter. She could care less about these kids. She could care less about these kids' well-being. She just wants to see if she can get as up close and personal as possible so that she can get the scoop. So anyway, once the news broke that the principal of the school was hanging from the goalpost, everybody at the party ran out of the house. The only people that were left in the house was the guy that worked at the video store that was real into horror movies. He's in the living room by himself, and Sydney's character is upstairs in the bedroom with her boyfriend, finally giving him what he was looking for earlier. You know exactly what that is. Remember, Courteney Cox put that camera inside of the house? Well, there's also a van parked out front with a cameraman in it, and he can see some of the stuff that's going on. Unfortunately, it's on a 30-second delay. Right about now, Sydney is piecing a few things together in her mind, and she seems to be figuring a few things out. And that is it. I'm not going to tell you anything else about Scream. I'm assuming that you've seen this movie by now, but if you haven't, I am not going to be the one that ruins it for you. I really enjoyed this movie. I saw it back when it first came out, and I thought it was pretty impressive. I thought it was going to be a pretty important movie. As it turns out, this movie was a pretty important movie. It sort of put horror back on the map in the mainstream. I know that horror never went away amongst us diehard horror movie fans, but there hadn't been something that was really in the public eye that really had us in the mainstream for quite some time until this movie came out. Prior to Scream, it had been a while since horror made its way into the mainstream. Prior to this, I would say it was probably like the Nightmare on Elm Street series maybe, which ironically was also Wes Craven, and naturally it took Wes Craven to put horror back into the mainstream again. Wes Craven actually had a little bit of a cameo in this movie, a split-second scene, but it was definitely him. He was a janitor in the hallway in the high school, and when you saw the real quick flash of him, he had on the brown Freddy Krueger hat, and he had on the green and red Freddy Krueger sweater, and he was out there with a mop. He was mopping the floor in the hallway. It was pretty cool. Another very quick cameo in this movie, I mean, it was quick to the point where if you blinked, you would have missed her, was Linda Blair was actually a reporter in this movie as well. Towards the beginning of the movie, very quick flash. By the time you recognize you saw Linda Blair, she was gone, and then you didn't see her again. Sort of the definition of what a cameo is. Goofball. This movie felt like a mishmash of like the classic whodunit film mixed with a little bit of 80s slasher and then with a more of a modern twist to it. One thing that I was not crazy about in this movie was the killer himself. He seemed very almost incompetent. He was very klutzy and clumsy. He kept falling over things and tripping over things and falling down. And I mean, once you see this movie as a whole and you watch it from beginning to end and you see who the killer is at the end of the movie, I have no doubt whatsoever that that was by design. Of course it was by design, but it was just not an element of the movie that I cared about. I almost think that it undermined the killer himself, and I just thought that was not real good for that character. I would say overall you should give Scream a shot. It was a good movie. I was not crazy about the klutzy killer of the movie, and it was a little bit too pretty for me, but I would say its importance in the horror movie genre is worthy of giving it a watch in and of itself. So do yourself a favor, if you haven't seen it, watch Scream. Alright folks, that's going to do it for my review of the 1996 film Scream. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I would love for you to go on this journey with me. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, have a kick-ass day, and thank you for watching.